and welcome to a brand new episode of the
Geek Buddies! Hey!
We are back with our Friday show, and of course, the return of Shannon McClung to the show, who some of you missed from earlier in the week. We are back to talk about a couple of topics and get into our spoiler review for Peacemaker Season 2, Episode 3, that dropped last night as we're recording this. So we're going to get into that, all of that. But let's introduce ourselves. I am John Rocha, writer, producer, and host here on the Geek Buddies.
I am Michael Vogel, writer and producer of animated TV shows, movies, video games, and miscellany.
Okay, miscellany. Shannon.
And this is Shannon McClung. I'm an animation writer and a television actor, and I don't do anything with miscellany.
Oh.
Not my speed.
Strong statement there. For those of you,
Mr. Elaney would disagree with you.
For those of you who are new to the show, thank you so much for taking a chance on our show. The way the show works is we bring up a couple of geek news items and then we get into our main topic. And as I said, our main topic is going to be the Peacemaker review. But we are limited on time. So let's jump into the first topic. Let's talk about this. Superman, the Man of Tomorrow film was announced here from James Gunn earlier this week. Michael and I talked about it earlier this week. But since that announcement, there have been some more news that has come through. For example, James Gunn says that he's written the entire script already. When answering a comment on Threads about how much he's written, he said all of it. And asks where it might be in terms of the script. He said it's just in the necessary and lengthy stage of rewriting some more. It's been a lot of fun. Then he has claimed that it's been a collaborative script where all sorts of people, yes, have contributed. And I'm very open to feedback as always. And of course, a lot of news came out here, rumors about who might be showing up in the movie. Now, seeing the screen there, according to Nexus Point News, we could be getting Lobo, we could be getting Supergirl, we could even be getting Peacemaker making big appearances. And of course, with the reactions from Aaron Pierre and even the reactions of Grant Gustin, there has been some rumors that they might be showing up in this as well. But normally I'd go to Michael first, but since Shannon didn't get a chance to chime in on Tuesday, Shannon, what are your thoughts on this? And what are your thoughts about the cast? And do you believe he's already written the full script and he's just doing revisions?
I mean, look, if that's what he said, I guess that's what we're going with. He does not have a demonstrable track record of saying one thing and something else happening. Regardless, the fact that the whole idea that it's not a Superman sequel, it's Man of Tomorrow, even though that is what one of Superman's many names, along with the last son of Krypton. I mean, I'm excited for the movie, but right now, I mean, the whole idea that like it could be this person, it could be this person, it could be this person. It's like, so anyone at this point who has participated in something in the new DCU could potentially be in it. Aaron Pierre, Jason Momoa, Millie Alcock. I mean, anyone's fair game. So I'm curious how much of this is a rumor that they're going to pop up, or people speculating that, hey, these people have been in something or will have been in something at that point. So sure, they could pop up. In terms of like writing, I mean, he had said that he was writing a very detailed treatment. I think, we had talked about sort of the writing process when Mikey wasn't here. And, generally it goes treatment, premise, outline, script, and then you revise and revise and revise and revise. So the fact that if he is saying that the script is done and now he's into the rewriting process, I mean, that's pretty fast writing. I mean, good for him. It is funny how much quicker this process can go when the writer-director is the head of the studio. How he's like, we're not going until a script is ready. My script, oh yeah, it's good. It's ready to go. I mean, the fact that we're going to get this 2 years after Superman has come out is pretty wild. I mean, that is a very accelerated timetable. In terms of what we're going to see, man, I'm excited. I like Superman. I like to see more of the world. At this point, it feels like everything is sort of a soft launch pad for a new Justice League movie. But across the board, Aaron Pierre showing up as Jon Stewart. If that were to happen, outstanding. Superman and Lex teaming up. Fantastic. Lex's crazy green and purple battle suit making its first big screen appearance. Awesome. Summer 2027. Can't get here fast enough.
All right, Mike. We talked about this on on a Tuesday show. So what are your thoughts on this as it has developed over the last few days, and he's already written a full script it's in revisions only, and all of these people being speculated to be part of this? And do you agree with Shannon? This is a bit of a soft launch for Justice League. And how are they teaming up when Lex killed his favorite falafel guy right in front of him with a bullet to the head? Your thoughts on this?
I mean, first of all, look, if he says he's got the script done, he probably has the script done. I don't think that this whole James Gunn is a liar on Twitter is not necessarily the narrative I subscribe to. I think he talks too much on Twitter. Yeah. I think he says something and then things change and then you're like, oh, he kind of got caught because things shifted. I don't think this whole, he's lying about the script. If he says he wrote a script, he's got a script done. I do think Shannon makes a valid point that he has made a big deal about, we had these movies, we were excited, but the script just wasn't where we wanted it to be, so we're not moving forward. And that sure doesn't seem like it's the case with Man of Tomorrow. So I do think that is, you're like, okay, you know what? It is what it is. You're the head of the studio. You get to call the ball. You want to make your movie, you're going to make your movie. Right. All that aside, I don't know about Grant Gustin. I don't know about the Grant Gustin of it all in this rumor mill. Like, everybody else is like, yeah, you're fair game. You're in the universe. You're going to show up in a movie. Great. Grant Gustin being like, hey guys, really excited about this news. Sounds fun. If you need anybody to run in real fast, let me know. Like, I think he's just over here on the side. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Poor Grant Gustin just wanted to say he was excited and people are coming after him for it.
Well, they're excited, I think, to see if he might. But of course, opening the door to multiverses like they're doing in Peacemaker season 2, anything's possible now. But yes,
no. But here's the thing, and I mean, and this is like, and we're going to talk about Peacemaker season 2 in a minute, and this episode took place very clearly in the multiverse.
Yes.
The multiverse is being done really well in the DCU at the moment.
True.
In a way that I think people have a lot of excitement about. And I think when we talk about Marvel and we talk about Doomsday and we talk about some of the choices they've made, that's where you get into, hey, the multiverse is open. We can do whatever we want. And you see how quickly fans sour on things like multiverses when it's just done for a stunt. And bringing in some CW actors may be a little step too far this early on. We'll see. But other than that, like, yeah, I think this totally makes sense. I think, again, in James Gunn, in that category of saying one thing that maybe doesn't line up with the strategy as he moves forward, saying, hey, every movie is standalone. You can see it on its own. You don't have to see other stuff. That may be true, but even within Superman to Peacemaker to other stuff, it's like, well, it seems like it's helpful if you've seen everything. And if some of these rumors are true and Peacemaker may show up and Supergirl's going to show up and Lobo could be there and there's all these other things, I think, and Aaron Pierre showing up as the newest Green Lantern, I think all of that seems valid. Like, none of that seems like something where you're like, oh my gosh, I feel like they're really jumping the gun. It's like, if these are all people in the universe and we're going to build to some big threat that, to your point, would cause Superman to team up with somebody that he definitely is not a fan of, then if there's a Green Lantern on a planet and there's a Justice Gang on a planet and there's some other people on a planet, I would expect they might show up too. So everything that I'm hearing makes me go, yeah, that's how a connected universe is supposed to work. Yeah. And as far as it being a soft launch to a Justice League movie, it's the same as the Marvel universe. Until you have your Avengers movie or your Justice League movie, in this case, anything you do is a soft launch. All of us want to see a Justice League movie that we like.
Yeah.
And so anything, Batman shows up, oh, they're building to the Justice League. Oh, here's Wonder Woman. Like, it's impossible for them to add a hero to a roster or bring heroes together and not have us say, yeah, they're building to the Justice League, because of course they are.
Well, I think the semantics game that he played this week, I think, was hilarious, because initially Variety said Superman, Man of Tomorrow. And then he went on Threads and said, well, no, it's just called Man of Tomorrow. So it could be Lex, it could be Superman, it could be Brainiac if we have Brainiac. You know, who is the Man of Tomorrow? And then to claim it's not a Superman sequel, I find this to be fascinating, Because someone asked, I think someone chimed in, was like, well, do you think BVS is a sequel to Man of Steel? And I would say technically it is, because everything that happens in BVS is spurred on by everything that happened in Man of Steel. So to me, that is a sequel. So the fact that you're bringing Lex and Superman back together, that is a Superman sequel. The fact that you're putting them together in the pictures makes it a Superman sequel. So the game of semantics, I wish he would just stop playing that stuff. I just don't think it helps in any way, shape, or form. But that being said, I think what you said, Michael, I hadn't thought about till you said it, was that we had all these things announced, but it only seems like James Gunn stuff is getting greenlit for the most part. And by the time, we're going to have 2 seasons of Peacemaker, Superman, then a Superman 2, and we'll have 1 Clayface, 1 Supergirl movie, and then we'll get the Batman part 2 possibly. It's a fascinating
and lanterns.
And lanterns, right? Lanterns. So yeah, it's an interesting situation to look at.
Yeah, I mean, look, that was Shannon's point. I just reiterated to give Mr. McClung the credit there.
Yeah, I apologize.
But also, it's like the semantics game of the sequel thing. Yeah, it is what it is, but it doesn't help him. But I don't think it hurts him either. Like, he said it wasn't a sequel. It's coming out now. He's saying it's just Man of Steel. It's not Superman Man of Steel. If the movie comes out and 90% of the movie is about Lex Luthor and Superman is in it, we'll be like, oh, okay, I know what he was saying. If it's a Superman Lex Luthor team up movie, we'll go, yeah, I feel like that was a sequel and we can all argue about it. But you know what? If it's good, who's going to care?
Yeah.
Like, nobody cares. And like, kind of that's the same, that's kind of my same feeling with where we're at right now with him. Look, he wrote Creature Commandos. He wrote and directed Superman. He wrote Peacemaker season 2, and he's directing a lot of some of season 2. He's got Man of Tomorrow coming out. Yeah, James Gunn is taking up a lot of space in the DCU for sure. As long as it's good, I'll give it to him.
Right.
I don't care. As long as I'm enjoying what we're getting, I'm good.
But he is interconnecting this stuff, even though he claimed he wasn't. Right? He initially said, you don't need, oh God, we're releasing Superman because you got to see that before you see Peacemaker season 2. And then he's like, well, actually, you didn't need to see Peacemaker season or Superman. You could have just watched It's Cold. And now he's saying that there's rumors alluding to the fact that Peacemaker season 2 will lead into Man of Tomorrow. And now people are speculating that we're going to get a Corn Sweat appearance, because Corn Sweat took a picture of himself on set.
We're getting a Corn Sweat appearance. Like, we are obvious. But again, the 2 things that I would say are, and we'll see, like, the art of doing these universes, both DC and Marvel are running around screaming from the top of their lungs that nobody has to do any homework because they've done a lot of research that says people don't like doing the homework.
Right.
I've said this before on the show. I'll say it again. I think that is an incorrect conclusion. I think the issue is people don't want to watch bad shit.
Yeah.
And if it's bad, it's homework. And if it's good, it's not. That being said, I understand why everyone is running around screaming from the rafters. It doesn't need to be connected. It doesn't need to be connected.
Right.
With Peacemaker 2, I'll use, because we're going to talk about it in a minute.
Yeah.
Do you have to have seen the Suicide Squad to get the Rick Flag thing? Like, the question is not, are these connected or not? Because every single one of us arguing about these semantics wants a connected universe.
Yeah, sure.
None of us wants a Superman movie over here and a Batman movie over here and a Green Lantern movie over here, and don't ever let them meet each other. We like a big universe that builds to something. We're talking about, in this case, the Justice League. Right. So the fact that they are connecting, and that Rick Flag and Peacemaker talks about the Metropolis incident and those things pop up, that's gonna happen. I think what James Gunn is saying, and again, I don't think he says it well, is that it's not so intertwined that you are super lost if you haven't seen stuff. Right. And I think he's mainly saying that because Warner Brothers PR is telling him he has to say it, because both Marvel and Warner Brothers are obsessed with this idea.
Okay. And to Vogel's homework point, which again, I know we've said this before, but part of the joy when Infinity War and Endgame were such huge hits was people getting excited by other people's excitement. And then they were going back and catching up on these movies because they wanted to be part of this cultural conversation that was happening. So it's not homework when it's good. It's not homework when you enjoy it. It's homework when it's like, I have to know this because otherwise I'm not going to get this. Also, Superman and Peacemaker season 2 were shooting at the same time in Atlanta. Right. So even though, yes, there is a photo of the two of them, that doesn't necessarily mean Corento's going to show up. He probably will, but it doesn't necessarily mean that, which is why Greg Mottola directed a bunch of episodes of Peacemaker, because James Gunn couldn't.
Yeah, that's true. Good point. We'll see. Maybe we'll get a Blue Beetle sighting. There's rumors about that as well. So we'll see.
I would put that lower on the list.
in the Justice League as well. We'll see. Let's move on to another story here, guys. Let's talk about this. Fede Alvarez. This broke as we're recording this episode today. Fede Alvarez, a year ago, he did Alien Romulus. We're hard to believe that was a year ago. We did a spoiler review on that. That's on the channel if you guys want to watch it or listen to it on our podcast feed. Alien Romulus earned $350 million globally. 20th Century Studios quickly put a sequel in development. But now Fede Alvarez has revealed that he will not be behind the camera for this new film that Kaylee Spaney will be starring in. He said, quote, "We just finished the script actually for a sequel for Romulus, but I'm going to pass the torch on this one as a director." And he was speaking to Fab at Universal Studios Halloween Horror Nights the other night, which Shannon is intimate familiar with. He says, "I'm going to produce it, but with Ridley Scott, we're going to produce it together. And we're trying to find a new filmmaker to come in and do it." Michael, what are your thoughts on this? The man shepherded this film to $350 million globally. Why is he walking away from this? Do you buy that he's passing on the torch with Ridley here co-producing?
Well, I mean, he's clearly passing the torch. Why he's passing the torch is the question. Do I buy that he's doing it? Yeah, they're going to have someone else direct that movie. Okay. It is curious. I don't know. It's interesting. Like if he directed the only thing that I can think of is there's something that we don't know. Like there's some other project he wants to do more. Like they finished the script. He was lined up to direct. Things were happening. And then he got an opportunity to do something for another studio or for wherever, where he was like, fuck, I really want to do this more. Yeah. But Disney and Fox are like, or Disney and 20th are like, we really need this movie out at this time. And he's like, well, I can't do both. So I'm going to do this. If he's still attached as an EP and he's still attached to stuff, like I can't imagine what the bad blood would be. I mean, I'm pretty sure that given the success that Alien Romulus had, they were going to let him do what he wanted to do. So I don't know that there's any kind of creative thing where Disney or 20th would put their foot down. Like it's sort of there must be something we don't know. Like that was my take on this. There wasn't anything that stood out as an obvious, like, wow, he must really be upset about this, or they had a big falling out about this. It's disappointing because I think he did do a good job. But if the script is something that he worked on and it's a really cool continuation and they find someone else to come in and do a great job, like we'll see. As we've seen with Noah Hawley on Alien Earth, there are a lot of people out there that can do a great job with this franchise.
He might be the one they call upon to direct this installment, possibly. Shannon, your thoughts on this? What do you think's going on here? Why would he walk away from a film that he just made $350 million from? Why would he walk away from the sequel?
Well, I mean, I think Vogel's right. I mean, sometimes like he set out to do a thing, he did the thing. And some artists don't necessarily want to go back to the well. You can argue the success of alien directors going back to that well and how well they do. I mean, the only one who's gone back is Ridley Scott. And we got Prometheus and we got Alien Covenant. And sometimes there are moments when you have a director, Fede Alvarez in this instance, who something else catches his interest. And when you are dealing with a big IP that's supported by a big studio, they have kind of probably a firm release date that we have to do this year. But if he wants to do this little indie project where the funding's only going to line up, you kind of have to, choose your fate, basically. So it doesn't sound like there was some big creative disagreements blow up and again, that could have happened. Maybe they're keeping a lid on it. Right. But it sounds like he didn't necessarily want to go back and direct it again. I mean, I'm sure he was not expecting it to be as successful as it was. I mean, I think it probably beat a lot of expectations. Yeah. So again, the fact that he is still involved, that he was one of the writers, that it is one of his ideas, I think that is still encouraging. even though he's obviously pretty tuned into that alien universe.
Well, here's what I'll say. You know me, I'm going to put on my Hayward Island tinfoil hat conspiracy thing. And you guys know how I am about the egos of people in Hollywood. And I'm going to throw this out there because to me, it makes no sense because this is a successful franchise. You see what Trachtenberg is doing with Predator. You see the possibilities here. You made $350 million. Is it possible? Because the thing that in the quotes here, when he mentions Ridley Scott, my mind immediately goes, wait a minute. Because everyone's been saying how this is the best thing since Aliens, hopping over all the recent Ridley Scott stuff. And I wonder if Ridley's ego is involved here. And he said to him, or said to the studio, because he certainly has a way bigger footprint than Fede Alvarez, and said, you know what? I want to come back and direct it. Thanks, Fede, for setting the groundwork here. But now I'm going to take over and direct this thing because I don't like the fact that you're overshadowing me in a franchise that I effing built. So I wonder if that is behind this whole thing, showing that he can still do it. So I don't know. Again, putting on the tinfoil conspiracy hat to maybe throw that out there as a possibility.
If Ridley Scott is announced as the director of Alien Romulus 2, we will be bowing to your to your fortune telling skills.
The best is going to be if they announce that Ridley Scott is directing the sequel to Romulus, and then all of a sudden you hear that Ridley Scott is writing and directing Alien Earth Season 2. So you're just like, he just goes around and he's like, hey, everybody, I'm the alien guy. Go watch Prometheus. This is mine. And all of a sudden, those big fucking engineers are all over the fucking alien movies and Alien Earth, and I stop watching it and I get really depressed. I
mean, it's very. I'll go one more, and you, Michael. You find out that he's rewritten all of Fede Alvarez's script for the second Alien Romulus to make it, and moved David in to be a part of it. Michael Fassbender. We will see.
I mean, I will say to support your point, John. Terminator, okay. Was it Dark Fate?
Dark Fate, yeah, the Tim Miller one.
Yeah, that James Cameron was very involved in the writing of that film, and according to James Cameron, those rooms where they were kind of hashing out the story, that James Cameron was like, yeah, we had a lot of disagreements. There was a lot of blood on the walls. It sounds like James Cameron felt he came out on top. Yeah. So I don't think your point is without validity. That they're, an older creative, someone who did create a franchise, someone else wants to come in and do their own thing, that there can be a little bit of ownership on it. I don't know if is what is happening with Alien, with Ridley Scott, but I don't disagree with you that a lot of folks have egos.
And I will say, I was saying I don't think the studio has any creative need to push him creatively. However, that being said, when he did Alien Romulus, the Alien franchise was kind of cooked.
It was dead.
It was we were like, all right, well, I mean, if you love those movies, you love those movies, but nobody expected a lot. And he did what he did. As is typical with any big franchise, even if it's a brand new franchise, once it's successful, a lot of people have opinions on the sequel. And there's absolutely the chance that after going through the script, and getting notes on the script and getting noted on the script and saying, oh, well, this, and we don't feel like this played so good in Romulus, and we hear you and we know that you're a genius, but let's do it this way. And he just reached a point. He was like, you know what? I made it through the script and I'm out. Find someone else to direct this because I don't even want to deal with this anymore. I'm going to go work on something where I can do whatever I want. This franchise has gotten too big because given what Dan Trachtenberg has done with Predator, given what Fede Alvarez did with Alien Romulus and what Noah Hawley is currently doing with Aliens, Disney and 20th are looking at this and going, oh, there's gold in these hills.
Yeah.
This can be our other interconnected universe. We've got Marvel over here. We got Star Wars over here. But now we have this R-rated interconnected universe. Let's do this. And there are some people, it seems like Dan Trachtenberg is down to clown. He's like, great. Give me 5 more Predator movies. I'm all in on this. Fede Alvarez might go, not my thing.
Well, I think the difference, of course, is what Shannon brought up. There's nobody in the room with Dan Trachtenberg to be like, I built Predator. Like, what the hell? There's not that person in there going back.
But what I'm saying is it could be either. I mean, maybe Ridley Scott is not. Ridley Scott might be like, look, I'm old. I did what I want to do. You take my aliens, do whatever the fuck you want. And then it's the fucking executives who are like, yeah, but don't do this. Or they could be like, look, you and Ridley do what you want. And to your point, Ridley Scott is like, let me tell you about 1979. Like, I don't know. It could go, maybe it's either one of those.
Yeah, I mean, because he's not in the best spot right now as a director. Gladiator 2 was a joke. Napoleon was not good, and nobody went to see it. House of Gucci wasn't that well received, even though I personally like it. Last Duel was great. Nobody went to see that movie. The last thing that was had any attention was The Martian in 2015. All the money in the world, damn good movie. Nobody saw it. Alien Covenant was terribly received. So it's not like he's on a winning streak right now, Ridley. So I wouldn't put it past the old man to be like, I'm going to borrow what you did and I'm going to do something with it. But we'll see. We'll see. I like Fede. All right, well, let's get into the meat of our episode here. Let's get into this Peacemaker Season 2, Episode 3 show that dropped here just a few days ago, as I said. Quite an interesting episode here. Another Rick up my sleeve. This was written by James Gunn, directed by Greg Mottola. A lot happened in this particular episode. We got ourselves a little allusion to the Suicide Squad with Rick Flag and the Sorceress hanging out together here. We also saw Peacemaker living in this other dimension where everything is so great. His brother is still around as Captain Triumph. He's got this relationship with Harcourt that is much more softer. And clearly Chris from this universe was a bit of a dick to Amelia Harcourt. And now she's getting the mentally healthy, for the most part, Peacemaker, but we see an explosion by the Sons of Liberty. We see this brutal saving by Chris, and he's very happy with the situation. And in the other universe, the main universe, we see Amelia Harcourt dealing with what she's dealing with, and the 11th Street Kids dealing with what they're talking about after a hangover, after the party, and everything like that. But we know that Rick Flag is getting a crew together with quite a few people to go after Chris and Peacemaker. So, Michael, your overall thoughts on this episode before we jump into the two sections here of the show?
I mean, I think the season continues to please. I thought it was a really fun episode. We were talking about interconnected universes. I think Joel Kinnaman coming in as Rick Flag was a big surprise, but a really welcome one. Yeah. Really liked the way he was used both in the flashback at the beginning and seeing the Rick Flag of the other universe, which was very, very funny. It was interesting what they did with the Sorceress, because in one scene, they sort of gave a nod to Suicide Squad and also invalidated Suicide Squad. At the end of Suicide Squad, when Sorceress becomes the big bad guy, they take away all her powers. So the fact that we are in a universe where he is dating Sorceress,
right?
But Enchantress. He is dating Enchantress, but she still clearly has her powers. So it's this squint test of some of the DCU stuff that has survived with James Gunn to go, okay, I see what this is. So I thought that was really interesting. Everything in our universe with the rest of the gang was really fun. The biggest thing that I took away from this episode was, oh no, John's right.
What?
These people are bad. His family's racist. His family's racist. Like that, his dad in this universe is not a good guy. He is a racist guy who is a hero, because there are zero people of any other color than white in this universe. Like, everybody's white.
I'm very
I was watching it.
I'm very glad someone else on this show said this instead of me. Go ahead, Mike. Yes.
You were like, we talked about it, because you were like, no. I think this imp thing is kind of a dig. It's kind of a mention of racism. And I was like, I don't know if it is. I feel like this is a kinder, gentler version. But the more that we got into it, he got on that bike and he drove out, and I was watching it and I'm like, oh, that mural of the three of them is kind of unsettling, and I can't really figure out why. And then this kid is like crying and this woman is flashing him. And then I'm looking around and I'm like, that is a really, really white universe. There are no black people, no brown people, no Asian people. There is nobody. And I was like, oh, I think I see what happened in this universe. I think I see why him and his family are on top. So it was interesting. It kind of was a compelling, there's a lot more to uncover in this universe than just Peacemaker's having a really good time.
Great points, Michael. Oh, sorry, Shannon. Your thoughts on this episode? What stood out to you? What worked for you? What are your thoughts here?
So Vogel thinks Ridley's going to direct Romulus too. And the episode was great. I thought this was probably the best one. Yeah, like it was so funny because Joel Kinnaman a few months ago was giving an interview to an outlet. I think it was Screen Rant here. I've got the article to promote his new movie at the Silent Hour. Kinnaman was asked if there was any truth behind his rumored return as Rick Flag Jr. in Peacemaker Season 2. The quote, "I don't know what to say. That's ridiculous. I would never be on a show like that. It's not what I do. It's not what I do." So, in the world of casting denials, you have Andrew Garfield on one side who's like, guys, I would love it if I were in it, but they haven't called. I mean, I don't want to get anybody disappointed. I would love it if they called, but they haven't called. And then you have Joel Kinnaman being like, get out of here. I would never be on a show like that. I just thought it was so much fun. And then connecting the two Ricks, that we get the guy that we have met in 2 movies, one and a half movies. And then the new one that we get to meet, watching Joel Kinnaman, who's not known to be a comedic actor. He does a lot of kind of heavy drama when you're thinking about like The Killing. Watching him play this kind of lower status, nebbishy type dude when he's this tall, blonde, good-looking Swedish guy. It was very, very funny to watch to watch him play that. And the action for this was a lot of fun. I mean, I feel like this is definitely the most action we've gotten. And watching Peacemaker, because you forget, because Peacemaker, is he a big goofball? Yes. Is he silly? Yes. You forget that this guy can really wreck house when he has to. And the reception that he got from the crowd prior to everything, watching him use that motivation to go in and just take out this group of folks. Very entertaining. But yes, I did have the same thought as Mikey when I was just like, this is fun. Boy, that mural. I feel like I've seen that in history class.
I know people get mad at me all the time when I bring this stuff up. And, I know sometimes it isn't as valid for some people as others, but when you notice it, you kind of want to shout it out. And when I was noticing it, when I was watching it, I was like, wait a minute, wait a damn minute. So I'm glad you guys caught it as well, as I'm not the only one. I thought this was a good episode. I thought it was a little underwhelming. I think the episode, maybe by the time the series is over, I can put this episode a little bit more in context and see what it was laying the groundwork for, because we also get allusions near the end of the episode to Chris and his issues with pills. What pills are those that he has issues with? And certainly Harcourt is very much laying out that this is an abusive relationship that she was in with him, that he was sensitive. He snapped at her all the time, probably cheated on her all the time, couldn't commit to their relationship, was impulsive. So that, that conversation on the park bench, you kind of felt for Harcourt, or Amelia, as she's known in that universe. And you have Chris, who's like grown from season 1. And this is a great opportunity to show how much he's grown, saying all of these things that you want someone who has been through some therapy or been through some things and learned about the shortcomings of himself and how he's promising to be there and promising to hear her out and think about. He doesn't even rush her into the relationship. He says, let's think about it. Let's ruminate on this. And even at the end, texts her saying, I'll let you know when I think about this a little bit more and I'm ready to, have a conversation about it. So it's very healthy. A lot of things that Chris is doing, but I think this is going to be interesting when it gets revealed what this universe actually really is and his brother's role in all this and his dad's role in all this. Because if there's anything Chris has a history of, it's killing his family members. So we may be lining this up again in a new universe. He's already killed himself. Michael, yes?
No, it was interesting because even when his brother showed up at the end, it's he flew through that helicopter without even a glance and didn't really care where that helicopter landed. Like there's just a general vibe. But what I will say they are doing a really nice job of is the unsettling nature of all of it. It's still not enough. Like, we all think we see where it's going, but nothing was so on the nose obvious. They're doing a really nice job of, like, you have his brother fly in and high-five him for saving the day as everybody's running away from this helicopter that he just flew through. But then at the end, they have this really lovely conversation where he's like, I'm your brother. I'll be there for you no matter what. Like they're playing it really nice so that you understand why Chris is so enamored of this place, why Chris is like, this is everything I've wanted. But to your point about him being so much more healthy as he's dealing with Amelia, it is interesting because the things that have made him that healthy are all the bad shit that he's had to go through in his universe. Whereas the Chris in this universe was raised with, a silver spoon in his mouth with his dad getting rid of everybody who wasn't white and giving him all of the weird, disgusting, tacky clothes he wanted. So that guy's an asshole. It's interesting. And also because they showed the clips from the Suicide Squad at the very beginning, you are kind of reminded that the Chris that Amelia's been dealing with is pretty much the Chris that we already met in the Suicide Squad. Like we've gone on this journey with him through Peacemaker season 1 into season 2, and we're very fond of the guy that we have now. But if you go back and you watch the Suicide Squad, you're like, oh yeah, that's probably what the Chris of that universe is like.
Yeah, that's a good point, because it's almost like watching season 1 of Loki again, where we get a Loki who's come out of Avengers, not the Loki that we saw grow through the multiple movies that particular Loki that's the focus of season 1 has not been through. So it's a fascinating thing to compare those Lokis, like you compare these Chris's, for sure. Shannon, what else stood out to you in this whole situation? He's riding the peace cycle. He's we said he gets to Argus. Amelia is softer, gentler. As you mentioned, Joel Kinnaman is a bit of a clumsy, awkward bitch, to lack of a better term. They go on their not date.
He's an intellectual.
Is he? I mean, he's like, hey, what are you guys going to talk about? He's almost a little vigilante-ish when he's there asking him those questions. But then the Sons of Liberty situation, we talk about this, that situation literally blows up in front of them. And for those who don't know, the Sons of Liberty are out of the DC Comics. They're an ultra-patriotic paramilitary organization seeking to take down the U.S. They were in Superman number 53 is where they debuted recently, 91. That's not that long ago, at least in my mind. But he kills all these people, as you said, Shannon, in brutal ways. And at the end, he gets the hug from Harcourt and the drink with Keith. What are your thoughts on all of this that happens here to him in this universe?
Well, we hear, I mean, this is slightly going back to what we were talking about before, but it kind of links up. We hear from Robert Patrick and from David Denham that their Chris has been disappearing. That he's been disappearing for spaces of time, and then when Peacemaker 1 goes through and is going through his drawers and finds all that medication, you start to wonder, inherently, is Peacemaker, no matter what universe, is Peacemaker a good guy? But in this universe, because potentially the bad people are on top, this Peacemaker is sort of self-medicating. He's kind of disappearing from his potential responsibilities because ultimately he can't articulate this yet because he hasn't gone through the bad shit that Peacemaker 1 went through. But is he potentially self-medicating? Is he disappearing because ultimately he's not happy with what he's doing in this world, his part in this world? I think there's a possibility there. The moment where and again, this speaks to the writing of James Gunn and the directing of Greg Mottola, which in this case I thought worked really, really well. As the people are so excited to see Peacemaker, and that one little kid, when he says, "Peacemaker, I love you," he's like, "I love you too, little man," and the kid just repeats it, but he's bawling. It just reminded me of the Beatles, like on the Ed Sullivan Show, when you see these teenage girls just screaming their heads off, like that is what Peacemaker is to these people. I mean, he is the Beatles. Everything, the day that he has with Harcourt, the whole time I'm thinking like, oh, this is sweet, and this is going to end in tragedy, because once all these people find out you're not our guy, you killed our guy, this has nowhere to go but south. And the scene between him and David Denman, like that was a really, really kind of touching scene, because he's already dealing with the fact that you're not around in my universe because of something I did. And granted, it is his dad's fault that they were both put in that situation. But he is still wrestling with that guilt. And to see the grown-up version of his brother and to have this sort of touching moment where they're sharing a glass of whiskey and just talking about their feelings, which, you know, guys aren't always known to do. It was just really, really nice. And the whole time I'm thinking like, oh, this is going to be teed up for utter disaster.
Yeah, Michael, I hadn't thought of it that way, that maybe he actually has a conscience. This Chris actually had a conscience, and maybe his dad and his brother have been feeding him those pills, so that it's like the reverse, where we're trying to feed you pills so you stay angry, stay racist, stay this way, but you're fighting against it and disappearing. And clearly he has a track record of doing this, because Keith even says you're doing this more than usual. So he's clearly had a lifetime of possibly wondering about it. But what do you think about all this? And then what do you think about what happened with him and Harcourt and then the Sons of Liberty?
I think Shannon's painting a very sweet picture of this universe that I don't know is actually gonna roll out the way that he thinks it is. I don't. We'll see. It'll be interesting. I'm not 100% sure which way it's gonna go. Yeah. I don't think the Chris of this universe is a good guy, or is secretly troubled, or is like feeling off and taking the pills to self-medicate because he doesn't like what he's seeing. I think this Chris is a bad dude.
Okay.
I think this Chris is a bad dude. And I think the fact that they do tell us that he has been disappearing for stretches does tie into something. I don't know what yet, but I don't think it's that he was off really having a guilty conscience because his dad was like, turned America into a white nation or whatever it ends up being. I think that Chris was a bad dude. I think the way that he treated Amelia was bad. I think there is no evidence that we have gotten, from the clothes that he wears to the way he treated his girlfriend to the pills hiding in his drawer when he's told everybody he's not on pills anymore. Nothing leads up to, oh no, this is a troubled good guy. I'm like, nah, I don't think so. And I also think that I don't think that we're building up to Chris really loves this place, and then they find out that he's not their Chris and he killed their Chris, and they're like, now we hate you, and he's devastated. Right. I think the devastation is, I'm in this idyllic world. Oh, no, you're not. Your dad is just as racist. He just won. Yeah. Your brother thinks what your dad did is great and has no issue killing people because you're famous and can do whatever you want. And even Amelia, who really loves you, clearly works for Argus and works in a world where this is acceptable. Yeah. So I think what's going to happen is this thing that looks really beautiful on the outside, once you dig underneath, Chris goes, fuck, this isn't great. And I think, John, you might be right that like you do get to the point where you're like, fuck, to set things right in this world, I got to kill my dad and my brother again. Yeah. This is double trauma. I have to team up with the guy that I killed in my universe because he's the only one who actually is a good guy, which is why he's so nevishy and quiet all the time. Like, I think that it's going to be a little bit more complicated. I even think the Sons of Liberty, which is a terrorist group in our DC universe, is a terrorist group in this universe. And I don't think they're good guys. They were going to blow up a building and kill people. But in this universe, maybe they're trying to set things right from what has been done to this universe. Yeah. So I think there's still a lot more. Like, if this is a universe where, and again, I don't know that this is what it is, but the lack of any person of color leads me to believe Peacemaker's dad, brother, and the Chris of this universe did what Peacemaker's dad couldn't do in our universe, and then somehow ended up taking over everything, teaming up with Argus. And look, for all I know, the reason that kid was crying wasn't because he thought he was seeing the Beatles. It's because everybody has to be nice to Peacemaker or they're afraid they're going to get killed. Like, so I think that there's a lot more to unravel here in all of that. But
to be clear, I think the bad guys won. I think, I am agreeing with you there. I feel like my point has been spun off into a direction that I did not intend to go.
You felt like bad for poor Chris. Poor Chris.
No, I was theorizing. Like, the reason that he's disappearing and self-medicating is ultimately every Chris inherently is good. He's good. And that's how he's dealing with it because he doesn't know how to articulate that stuff yet. Maybe he's just an asshole. That's fully possible.
I think you might be right. Like I honestly, sometimes I really think I'm right, and other times I'm just like, maybe I'm right. This is a maybe I'm right.
Oh no,
territory.
we're aware.
Okay, slow your roll, buddy. Slow your roll. But I think
go on.
I think getting to the end of a season where it says all Chris's in any universe are inherently good is less satisfying than no, Chris's are bad, but our Chris is good, and he's good because of these people. Like, I think that's what's interesting. And then the other piece that I think is really interesting in this episode that we didn't talk about a lot with the Rick Flag stuff is just the fact that Amelia Harcourt has a reason to hate Peacemaker. Like Amelia Harcourt that we see in that flashback at the beginning was not tough as nails, toxic masculinity Amelia Harcourt. She was happy.
Yeah.
And that's right before he takes off. He gets killed by Peacemaker. She works for Argus. She knows what happened. So when she's being shitty to Chris in season 1 of Peacemaker the whole time, it's because she knows what he did to the guy that she likes. And the reason she keeps pushing him away is because she is attracted to him, and she's upset at herself that she's attracted to the guy that killed her other guy.
Right.
That's interesting shit.
And that may be why she's drinking, why she's punishing herself, why she's doing a lot of things. Because even out of bio, and we'll transition to this section because I want to get to this section as well before we wrap up our review. But I do want to add one thing. A review I read for this episode mentioned something about the Sons of Liberty, and I can't get out of my head that to add to the idea of the racist, all that, it may be that that Robert Patrick and Keith and that family are funding the Sons of Liberty to purposely do things so that they can come in and save the day. And so there is like a cycle where they're both in conjunction working to keep the status quo, that they're heroes, those are the villains, and then people die. And that Chris killing all those people from the Sons of Liberty was completely unexpected, but Keith just rolled with it and killed all these people, killed the dudes in the helicopter. Anyway, so it's a fascinating thing to consider because the kills were pretty brutal. And Amelia did make a point of like, why is he doing this without his suit on? So I wonder what the meaning of all that is when it plays itself out as well. But let's jump into what Michael was teasing here. On the other side of things, we see Economos, we see these Bordeaux, we see this crew being lined up to go after Peacemaker, and we see Harcourt dealing with her pain of everything that's gone on here, out of bio, asking her about it on the rooftop and what have you. So we see that the forces are aligning to go after Chris on the other side in his real universe. So what are your thoughts on that, Michael? What do you think we're going to see? What do you think this is all leading to with this whole crew going after Chris and an unwilling Economos who needs
seeing the four of them wake up at Harcourt's hungover and just all of the banter between them as they're waking up was just delightful. Like again, we talked about it last week when they were drinking, but you really believe, or at least I really believe, in these friendships.
Yeah.
I really like the way Adebayo and Harcourt talked to each other and had their girl talk moment. The way Vigilante came in talking about fucking spiders and tarantulas, and Harcourt was like, "Why did you encourage that?" She goes, "I know, I got pulled in." And then even Vigilante and Economos, like there's just really nice chemistry between all of them, which I think is going to pay off later in the season as forces try and rip them apart. And then we even saw that with Economos having that moment where he was like, "I'm out. I don't want any part of this." And they're like, "Fine, you're fired." He's like, "Okay, I'm in, but I don't like it." He is ultimately on Team Peacemaker. And I think that's one of those things that even though we sort of know that at some point in this season, Economos is going to go, fuck this shit and go Team Peacemaker, it's still going to be satisfying when it happens. So watching them was fun. Michael Rooker as the Eagle Hunter is just a fucking wild card. But I was like, you know what? I'm here for it. And because everybody yelled at us last week in the comments who all thought Tim Meadows was so funny, I really tried to embrace this whole bird blindness running gag. But I still just can't get there, guys. I'm real sorry. I tried for you.
It's corny as shit. But you must have gotten into this guy coming back here. Judo Master is back here. The great Nut Lee playing Rip Jagger. You got to be excited about this, Michael. Judo Master is back and welcomes Economos with hello, fatty. What do you like him being back in the mix here?
I do. He's a great character. He's such a weird, the flaming hot Cheetos thing every time just gets me. Like, I just love we talk a lot about James Gunn is really good at the emotion and some James Gunn humor we don't like. For example, the three of us are not a big fan of bird blindness.
Oh.
Everything about Judo Master, the entire his vibe, the flaming hot Cheetos, just everything about him, the way Economos hates him. This is where James Gunn humor really works for me. Like the whole vibe of this, as opposed to being some like badass ninja assassin, that it's this tiny little dude eating his Cheetos, just being a bitch. I think is hilarious. Like, I think he's great, and the more of him, the better.
What are your thoughts, Shannon, about everything that's happening in this universe, how things are lining up with Hardcore dealing with her pain and Adebayo questioning her about it, and then Economos and Vigilante, and then, of course, what we see Bordeaux putting the team together to go after Peacemaker, and basically saying, like, once they catch him, they're putting him in jail for the rest of his life.
So listening to the podcast that accompanies the show is very enjoyable. Because even like when they're talking about bird blindness, they're like, oh yeah, the next step up from face blindness is bird blindness. It's like, look, there is a select group of folks that thought that was really funny. I mean, we're not a part of that group, and that's okay. There's comedy out there for everybody. I do think Tim Meadows' performance, because his performance didn't bother me so much last. I was like, look, that's the writing. Like he's doing what he can with it. This one where he started talking about, you took advantage of my disability to Steve Agee. I'm like, we're getting real close to SNL player now. And again, I do like Tim Meadows, but I don't know if this was, for me at least, as an audience member, I don't know if this was the way to take that character. But the 11th Street kids, them as a group, they've got genuine chemistry. I mean, I agree with Vogel that you buy these people as friends. Even the moment that Vigilante and Economos have when he's like, test me on spiders, and he's asking how many eyes does a tarantula have, and he goes, it's a trick question. Everyone knows eyes come in pairs. It's 2. And you see Economos looking at it, like, you were so confident that I actually had to check my phone. That's wrong. It's 8. Them together, they are just a lot of fun. Across the board, I think a lot of, even though like I don't love the way they're taking Tim Meadows' character, across the board, I think everyone is very, very well cast, with the exception of Sasha Bordeaux.
Oh, okay.
I am not so much, for whatever reason, just her cadence. I'm like, I don't believe you right now. You kind of stick out in a group of folks that I really, really believe in. Like there just doesn't feel to be a whole lot behind the words right now. And maybe that's going to change. Maybe she's going to get more material and we'll get to see something else. But as of right now, I'm like, oh, okay, so you're kind of the weak link. You're kind of the weak link in this cast. And, that happens. Michael Rooker's character, again, to quote the podcast, they refer to him on set as Captain Appropriation, which I thought was very, very funny. I mean, Michael Rooker as a performer, I love it when he plays these kind of off-kilter characters, that he's not, he's not the mean SOB. I mean, he's softer than Yondu. Like, all he wants to do is kill eagles. Like, that's apparently why he's been put on this earth. But having him in this group, I mean, again, he's a delightful presence on screen. And yeah, it looks like Chris is going to be going on the run next episode. And maybe Harcourt's going to be the sleeper agent to take him down.
Yeah. Your thoughts on this guy real quick before we wrap up here, our review. You like that he's back?
Hilarious. And I had no idea that Judo Master's real name was Rip Jagger. I was like, look, if you're going to have an alias, that is the one to have.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I like everything here. I like it because it's a nice juxtaposition of what's going on in the other universe, right? The other dimension, shall we say, because he calls it the best dimension ever. Harcourt is dealing with her stuff there in this universe. This is the Amelia he's in love with. The Amelia that he likes in the other dimension, who's all sweet and that's nice, but it's the Harcourt in this dimension that he's in love with. And so it's going to be interesting when that really kind of rears its head, which is the one he's going, like, are they going to see each other at some point or meet each other at some point? That'll be real curious to see. But I think the way it's all being set up where they're coming after him, it's got to lead to something big, because it's got to lead to something to where he gets called back into this universe out of the best dimension that he's enjoying. And how is that going to work? And are they going to have an interdimensional battle? I'm going to be curious to see how that all plays out by itself as well. But yeah, I have to agree with Shannon. Look, I hate to go against any Latino or Latino actor who gets into a role, but you got to be honest. And I don't think Sol Rodriguez is holding her own against everyone else, because everyone else is so well cast and acts so well, except for maybe Tim, who's slang, as you said, in SNL territory. You want her to step up. So maybe with more real estate as the season goes on, we'll see a little bit more from her. But yeah, she does stick out a little bit in this episode. And we'll see what happens with Rooker. All right. Any final words as we wrap up this spoiler review for this particular episode? Anything we missed you guys want to highlight, Michael or Shannon?
No, I just think, I think it's a lot of fun. I agree with Shannon. I think this is my favorite episode of the season, just because this was a very much the plot thickens across the board. Like we set everything up, we put everything in place. In this episode, we're starting to have a lot of questions about things. And to your point, between what's happening in the best universe ever and what's happening in our universe, it's kind of anybody's game where things go at this point. And I think that's a great place for a show to be. We're not sort of like, okay, I see where this is all going. It's fun and it's weird. And this is how you use a multiverse properly. Yeah.
Shannon, any final thoughts?
I wonder how much experience or how much knowledge James Gunn has about cranial injuries. Because when Chris hits that little guy with the axe, buries that axe in his forehead, and you see that sort of 1,000-yard stare that, wait, what? I mean, that is such a specific choice that I'm like, ooh, I wonder if you did a deep dive on what it's like to hatchet somebody in the head.
He probably just watched Hannibal when he's eating Ray Liotta's brains out of his head. I mean, Ray Liotta's basically blubbering the same kind of thing, just 1,000-eye stare or whatever. So maybe you just use that. The last thing I'll say about the interdimensional stuff, I think this is also a great mental health allegory. Running when you're in the middle of the work, running to the safe place is not the thing that's going to advance you. It's confronting the stuff that is wanting you to run to the safe place that you've got to confront. And that's in his regular universe, his real universe. And so it's going to be interesting when Chris has to make that decision to leave this dimension to go into the other, to deal with that stuff once and for all. So I think that's got to be interesting to see how they play that out. And maybe it'll be because his dad has created
I think he's going to find out pretty soon. He's going to find out that safe space isn't as safe as he thought it was.
Yeah, which it rarely is sometimes. All right. Thank you all so much for joining us for this episode of Geek Buddies and the spoiler review for season 2, episode 3 of Peacemaker. We hope you enjoyed it. Shannon, what do we have to tell them?
Yeah, if you'd like to follow us on social media, on Twitter, it's at @geek_buddies, on Instagram at @the_geek_buddies. If you'd like to follow me on social media, on Twitter, it's at Shannon_McClung, on Instagram at Shannon the Geek Buddy. If you'd like to follow Mr. Vogel, it is at MKToon. If you'd like to follow Mr. Rocha and give him support for Ridley Scott directing Romulus 2, it's at The Rocha Says.
Go ahead and smash that like button below. Subscribe to Johnny's Outlaw Nation. Oh, not Outlaw Nation page. Sorry, it's the John Rocha page.
Thank you.
Check out the John Rocha page. Leave your comments below. What do you think of Superman Man of Tomorrow? Or is it just Man of Tomorrow? Or just call it the Pre-Justice League? What do you think about it? Let us know below. Let us know about what your thoughts are on Fede Alvarez not doing Alien. And what do you think about Peacemaker? What do you think about the best universe ever? Is it or is it not? Let Shannon know, because he seems a little unsure about it. Then go ahead and give us some stars and likes on the podcast feed so more people find us and we go up in the rankings. And as always, the best thing you can do is retweet this video, post it on your socials, send it to your friends, and tell them to hang out with your buddies, the Geek Buddies.
There you go. Guys, have a great weekend. Enjoy yourselves. Catch up on our show from previous if you missed it earlier this week. And we'll talk to you next time with another brand new episode here of the
Geek
Buddies!